Welcome to Proper Concern for Truth. I'm your host, Seth L. Less. Today's conversation, the Secretary of Education. Among President Donald Trump's cabinet picks, his nominee for Secretary of Education, Betsy DeVos, is perhaps his most alarming. In the Education Secretary confirmation hearings, U.S. Senators on the State Health and Education Committee asked Ms. DeVos some very straightforward questions on her qualifications for the position, as well as how she intended to conduct the department. Here's some of the Q&A from the senators to Ms. DeVos. Senator Elizabeth Warren explains to Ms. DeVos the Education Secretary is essentially responsible for managing a trillion-dollar bank. She then asks Ms. DeVos if she's ever managed a bank, and if she's ever oversaw a trillion-dollar loan program. The answer to both of those questions was no. Senator Warren then goes on to ask Ms. DeVos if she's ever participated in a student loan program or a Pell Grant program, or if any of her children have, so as to have some notion as to the process of such programs. The answer to all of these questions was no. In summation, no experience and no working knowledge of any of the government-funded education department of which she is now nominated to be secretary. Senator Tim Kaine asked Ms. DeVos, does she agree that all schools receiving federal funding should be equally accountable, whether public, public charter, or private? After evading the question, Senator Kaine reprompted the question, to which Ms. DeVos answered no. Senator Kaine then asked if she agreed that all federally funded schools should be equally required to report incidents of harassment, discipline, and bullying. Ms. DeVos declined to answer at that time. Senator Bernie Sanders said to Ms. DeVos that many people in Congress think that public education should not stop at K through 12, but extend to public college and universities, making them tuition-free. To which Ms. DeVos responded, nothing in life is truly free. As a note, Senator Bernie Sanders also asked a rhetorical question challenging Ms. DeVos that to the tune of $200 million her family has collectively donated to the Republican Party, and that if she wasn't a billionaire and her family such generous donors, did she think that she would be sitting there as the Education Secretary nominee? To which Ms. DeVos benignly replied, it's possible. Senator Al Franken asked Ms. DeVos what her opinion was on the argument of the relative advantage of proficiency versus growth in the school education system. Ms. DeVos incorrectly tried to clarify the difference between proficiency and growth, and once Senator Franken explained the difference of the two, he then expressed that he was surprised, but not that surprised, that she was unaware of this critical and crucial education issue. Okay, folks, education is of giant importance to this country, and it's the tool we have to give ourselves and our junior citizens the tangibility to understand the vast complexities of our history, infrastructure, social systems, and our information and technologies as a nation and around the globe. I'd like to end Proper Concern for Truth with this. We the people are the nation, and as citizens we are the true but slumberful and dormant power holders. It is our responsibility as citizens of this profound nation to wake up our dormant powers and use our powers, our voice, our vote. Do not protest the system as to rage against the machine, but rather rally together and let's make the system work for us. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe.